FA presents The Inner Circle.
And away we go!
Starring Coach Ant and Coach Rel.
I want to ask you, so as far as men going forward, what type of men are you looking for going forward? And the men that you either date or you currently interact with, how do they handle your past?
I'm very open. I'm actually not dating. I haven't dated in at least a year. And I kind of pulled myself back from dating because of that brokenness that I identified in myself and that lack of identity and, self-love. I realized that I have to take a step back. I have to learn myself. I have to love myself before I can even think of entertaining a man or a man entertaining me. As for the type of man, where some women got a laundry list, like I want him to be loyal, honest, 6'5", and it'd be nice.
Right.
It'd be nice.
Mhm.
6 foot, chocolate, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But my prayer is, God, may every aspect of my life be in alignment with your will. And I keep it 100 with God. My taste in men ain't got me go nowhere. So I'm done saying what type of man I want or need or coming with this laundry list because it's gotten me nowhere. Evidently, I don't know how to pick them. So God, you pick them. And that's just, I don't know what I need in them. I mean, obviously, we know the cliche things. We want them to be honest. We want them to be loyal. We want a protector, provider, all those things. But what that actually looks like, I'm going to be surprised.
I got a question for you. From your father and the men that were coming into the life that you've seen in your previous, do you believe that men can be loyal? Like, honestly, in your soul, do you believe men can be loyal?
Yes. I try very hard where I grew up in, like, where it's like, oh, we don't need a man for nothing. That independent woman mindset, I try very hard to gear away from that. I feel like it's very unhealthy. I feel like by engaging in it, you're just manifesting in it and manifesting it in your life. So while I feel like it's like finding an honest, loyal, good man is like maybe a needle in a haystack, I don't think it's impossible.
What is your definition of a good man? Outside of being in a relationship, like, what is the definition of a good man?
A God-fearing one. Because men are the leaders. So if more men tapped into God and tapped into his word, y'all being leaders, us as women, we're going to follow. And where there's women, there's children. So I feel like if men could get it together and become men of God, I feel like we'll be on the road to fixing the world.
I tell people that all the time. Like, a man of God really about to sit there and make the community a better place. Mm-hmm. Like, that's just how it's going to play out. That's just what it is.
I have another question for you. Does any woman deserve a good man?
No. Don't laugh. Because I'm going to keep it a stat. Like, I'm a woman first. But I'm gonna be honest. Like, the same way there are a lot of men that tear women down, there's a lot of women that tear good men down. And I know because I was probably one of them a time or two. I've probably been guilty of it. Because hurt people. And like I said, a lot of women were raised without fathers. And then even the ones that were raised with fathers, like for me, I can honestly say that I had both my parents in the household. It wasn't the healthiest relationship to witness. And it's not one that I want to live by or follow or, mimic in my life. So, you can have a good man standing in front of you. And like I was just explaining to my friend the other day, like, you could be the best man in the world, and it goes for women too. You could be the best person, have the best heart, do everything that a man or a woman is supposed to do. And if you're dealing with a broken person who has no awareness of self, lacks love for self, and has no clue or is not in alignment with God, it'll never be enough.
They'll never value you.
It'll never be enough. And it's because it plays into their insecurities and their self-hate. Because if you don't have self-love, 9 times out of 10, I just got done telling a friend this. If you don't have self-love, 9 times out of 10, you're loathing and self-hate. And if you don't face those demons, you're going to end up bleeding on those you love the most. So you could, like I said, you could have the best woman of your life and she's exactly what you need, or you could have the best man in your life and he meets every need. It still won't be enough because you don't feel pretty enough, and you don't feel like, oh, a man can't possibly just have only eyes for me. So now that man not even doing nothing, and you over there harassing him whole time he was at the gym minding his business, and you talking about where you was at, who you was at, why you ain't answer the phone. That's because you don't feel like you're worthy of a man loving you whole.
Let me ask you a question. What do you believe black women represent today? Like when you think of the black woman, you think of what? The overall average black woman.
I feel like there's a transformation going on with black women, where before we used to, we had this idea that, I got to cook for a man, I got to clean for a man, and all these things. And that's why we find women going into these fresh relationships and you only somebody's girlfriend, but you're performing as if you're a wife. You're doing every little thing that a wife would do. So basically it's like, why would he buy the cow if the milk is free? Now I feel like black women are really stepping into, I feel like we're requiring a lot more. I feel like there's this mindset where it's like black women deserve luxury too. Black women deserve to be happy. We deserve to be stay-at-home moms. We deserve to be all those things that we see other cultures get. We deserve that too if that's what we want. Mm-hmm. And it should be attainable to us, and we should be able to do it with the man that looks like us. We shouldn't have to go outside our race to feel like, we could, I got to be with a Caucasian man or Indian man to be a stay-at-home mom. No, I feel like we're coming into a space where it's like, we're okay. A lot of us, not everybody, but we're okay being alone until we find that. We're not settling.
Do you feel a way when a man of color goes towards another ethnic group?
No. I genuinely feel like love has no color. Love has no color. You could love anybody. Like we're all made in the image of God. So you could white, black, purple, orange, it doesn't really matter. What does bother me though is when black men refuse to give black women the treatment that they will, without hesitation, give a woman of another culture or race. So y'all will give the world to a Caucasian woman or a Hispanic woman, and I'm Hispanic too.
Not y'all.
Some black men. Them. You're not one of them.
No.
Yeah, I just feel like that does bother me, because it's like it comes so easy to. Let me not say that because I don't know how it comes, because it looks one way on the surface, it'd be something totally different behind the scenes, but it's just like for black women and black men, it's like we gotta prove ourselves too much. Like, why can't we just walk into these situations? Like, give us enough rope to hang ourselves. Like, allow people to come into the situation and don't take out on me what that last black woman did to you. Don't treat me a certain way because she didn't meet your expectations. Like, because I might actually be deserving of everything you was giving her. Do you know what I mean? But we would never know that because it's like this stigma where it's like, well, what you gonna do for me? Nothing. Yet. Until you give me a reason to. It's like, and I don't see it in any other race of men really. It's black men. And it's like, what happened to courting a woman? Like I'll do all those things for you, but I'm not about to come into the situation like buying you flowers and taking you out to eat. I'm not about to do that. It's in the pursuit of a woman that a man falls in love, in my opinion. So me coming and being like, oh, planning dates and all of that, it's giving you now you're allowed to lack because I'm doing everything.
Mm.
No, like plan a date. Stop asking people what you doing and just be ready at 8. You know, like be ready at 8. Come like that. You know, go back to the bring flowers. Do what's corny. Bring
Yeah.
flowers and all of that. You know what I mean? Like send flowers to her job, a little edible arrangement. And then you'll see that submission. And if you don't see that submission, then you know she's not for you.
I want to go back to a point that you made because I was thinking about it when I was talking. I had a conversation with my boys from high school, college, and beyond, and that conversation of, well, why do Black women get treated this way?
Mhm.
And what I hear is the difference in treatment. So when they go and date out a different race and they see that, because everyone loves different, right? And it depends on your environment that you came in. But I would say the way I grew up, especially with the Black people around me, it was very, you got to get used to it. It's not something that I think somebody on the outside could just be a part of and just gravitate to it. It's like it's hard love. It's you got to be quick witted. You got to be quick minded. You got to have comebacks. You got to have thick skin for some of the comebacks. You got to have you kind of know. For when you embrace, my boy went to Monmouth, and then when he's around more white women than he's ever been before,
Mhm.
and then they were interested in him, something that he's never seen, that he had at his abundance. So when he got to know them and they were doing things that were foreign to him, like making him a plate or, giving him the keys to their car and not arguing back on certain things, it became, that's my mom's not like this. My sister's not like this. The girls who are Black weren't like this for me. So it created a new, I guess, an appreciation for outside women.
But what if Black men created a space where the Black woman felt safe being that type of woman? Because yes, that is very true. There are races who don't talk back and they don't argue and they do what their man says and all of those things. But when you take a look into the background of things, these are not single, more than likely not single mothers. They have it's a 2-parent household. They probably came from a 2-parent household. Parents still probably married, set them up for success before they even graduated high school. That's not our narrative.
So how would you create this space that you're speaking of, that Black men, what does that look like? What is this safe space for Black women to come out into so they can
create a space where a woman feels safe, where she feels secure? And that means, it doesn't mean a lot of people put too much emphasis on money. Money. Oh, he has to be a provider. Yes, all those things. But when you're stuck on the side of the road with a flat tire, can you call him? Is he going to get out? Is he going to stop what he's doing and inconvenience himself to come help you? Because in my opinion, a man puts himself last in terms of a family. A man is going to put himself last and his family comes first. So if you could be that type of man that's like, if it's within my ability to do so, if my girl needs me, my wife needs me, I'm going to drop everything I'm doing and come. Then you'll start to see that when Waka Flocka and Tammy, they went through that divorce, they had, that hardship when he stepped out on their marriage. And I can't remember who they did the interview with, but I was scrolling on Instagram and it came up and they were doing an interview with a guy. And what he said really stuck with me. He said, stop paying attention to what the other person is doing and focus on what you're doing.
Yeah.
So if me and you are dealing, we're in a relationship, right? And I'm doing everything right under the sun, right? everything that you share with me, that you look for in your partner, I'm being that, right? And you're not reciprocating that energy, you're not my person. I think I said that earlier.
Right.
And it's because if I'm into you, you're somebody I see a future with, and I'm constantly doing everything to meet your love language, to meet your needs. I'm actively listening to the things that you are saying, and not just actively listening, but I'm taking what you told me and I'm doing my best to bring it into reality. Just because you express this makes you happy, or this is what you need, and whatever. And you don't look at that and say, dang, this girl's really trying to meet my love language, to meet everything I need, and now I want to do the same for her. There's a disconnect. But when I'm doing everything you need and you look at me like, dang, she really doing everything that I need her to do, or that I expect, let me do this for her. Now you got a euphoric relationship where two people respect each other, two people are actively listening to each other, and you have no choice but to build after that. Like, it has to go.
Yeah. So I think like, man, you cannot. One thing I find in our culture, right, is that when we go out, we look for red flags, not realizing that a lot of us is walking red flags. So like, you're looking for something, and really, if you look at yourself in the mirror, it really projects what you got going on. So that's one part of it. I think the other part of it is we suck at communicating expectations, and we don't uphold the standard that we're supposed to. So like earlier, you was talking about, if I'm gonna look for any man out here, at some point, it's gonna start with being a God-fearing man at first. And we was talking about this earlier when we was out to eat. A man that's supposed to lead the family and lead you, he's not supposed to just lead you in any direction. He's supposed to lead you in the direction. So the direction has to be discussed amongst y'all before y'all even start walking. I find a lot of times, like, and we discussed this earlier, like, a man would flourish in a gray area if you allow him to. Like, I'm not putting no title on nothing. I'm not about to sit there, and I'm not about to put no timestamp on nothing. We are what we are without me telling you what we are. And I think that's crazy. But I think that I also believe in our culture, a lot of women accept that.
Yep.
Because if it's a lot of trash men walking around here, and you could have decent men, and he operating at a 50, and everybody else operating at a 0, that's still a F. It just look like a better F.
Yeah.
So when as a woman, when you continue to elevate and do other stuff that you need to do, and you no longer in a space of surviving but now thriving, and he don't move with you, then you just wasted time, energy, and effort. That's it. So when you out here looking, you should look for the man that you want to date as the best version of yourself, not who you currently are. And I think that plays into everything that you was talking about, as far as you taking on the persona of your father, and then looking for your father and other people, not realizing God going to do a transformation in you. Now you who you supposed to be, and you're like, yo, these men is trash. But imagine you would have stayed like in that space. You know what I mean? So now it goes to my next question. If you look at this, like the trajectory of your life and just everything and how it kind of played out, are you strong or are you numb?
For a long time, I was numb. Now I like to think that I'm strong. I was numb before I put the pieces in front of me and faced my demons, and then pieced it back together the way it was supposed to be. At least for now, anyway. Now I say I'm strong because I faced those things, and I'm still facing those things. And I know that I clap for myself in that aspect, because I know a lot of people avoid their demons, and they avoid facing them and dealing with them and fixing it, essentially. Me, I don't want to continue to bleed on my daughter. I have a daughter who not only she observes me, she absorbs me. And I want her to be observant and absorbing all the healthiest, wisest things. And so yeah, I had to come to terms with, okay, I'm hurting because I took these losses, and I feel lost and broken. But now I have to figure out what was the purpose of all of this. Right. And then when I figure out what the purpose was, what was the purpose of it all, I have to figure out what I'm supposed to do with it.
Mm.
So I feel like I'm doing that work, and that is where my strength lies.
I have 2 questions for you. My first question is, can broken women raise women?
I mean, they've been doing it all these years.
Successfully.
You ain't gonna you're gonna raise a menace.
Absolutely.
That's what you're gonna raise if you don't fix yourself. My mom personally, like I said, we had a rough, and I feel like there was some parts of my mom that was broken, being a young parent who's, your first child, the father is absent. Like, some brokenness has to come with that. And then whatever else she's been through in her life that I know nothing about. But she still raised women, 4 at that. I was probably the menace out of all my sisters. But I don't feel like I'm not going to say that you can't do it successfully, because I feel like my mom, while she had her flaws and her faults in raising women, and not always maybe giving the best advice or handling situations the best, she still did it successfully. Of all my mom's children, none of us are strung out. None of us are, on our last leg. We're all doing pretty good. And it's because where she didn't give everything right, she got that one thing right. And that was introducing us to God. That's the foundation.
Okay.
And then
So,
go
go ahead. I'm sorry.
My bad.
Oh,
My
go
second
ahead.
question. Do you have any regrets?
No. None.
I got a question. 3 questions, but you're only allowed to answer yes or no.
Okay.
All right. Have you forgiven yourself?
Yes.
Have you forgiven your mother?
I forgive her.
Yes or
But
no?
there's okay. Yes. Yes. I'm sorry. I forgot they were yes or no. Yes.
And last, have you forgiven the person that murdered your father? What's up, y'all? If y'all like with this conversation that we've been having, the inner circle, man, first of all, if you want to be a guest, feel free to hit us up, man. We're going to look into your credentials, see who you are. If you fit the criteria, then feel free to sit down on this couch right here, the hot seat. And another thing, like, subscribe, and lock in with us on all social media platforms, Our Friendly Advice. And to visit our website is ourfriendlyadvice.net. You can book us there. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day.